The Persian Empire had been defeated by the Greeks in the Battle of Marathon, but Emperor Darius sought revenge and began to assemble the greatest army that the old world had seen up to that point. But several uprisings within the Persian Empire postponed these plans. With the perishing of Emperor Darius, his son Xerxes assumed power and asphyxiated the rebellions in his empire, and now the emperor was free to move in motion his father's plans. 10 years had passed since his defeat at Marathon, but now the Persians had their mammoth army geared towards Greece. Under the command of Xerxes, a floating bridge connecting Asia to Europe was built so that the colossal Persian army could cross the Strait of the Dardanelles. At the army's vanguard, emissaries demanded the submission of Greek cities to the Persian Empire, being spared if they were accepted. The emissaries demanded from the Greeks an offering of land and water. After having heard what the emissaries had to say, the Spartans threw them into the pit and said they could have as much water as they wanted from down there. The Greeks gathered in the city of Corinth and constituted a great alliance in order to attempt to stop the Persian advance. The Athenians, commanded by Themistocles, would use their powerful fleet to fight the Persians by sea, whereas Leonidas, the king of Sparta, would lead the land troops and try to halt the Persians at the gates of fire at Thermopylae. But the city of Sparta was celebrating Carnia, a religious feast which forbade belligerent activities during its course. Leonidas consulted the oracle of Delphi, which told him that only a sacrifice of a legitimate heir to the throne of Hercules could detain the fury of the son of Perseus. According to Greek mythology, the hero Perseus had many descendants. Some of them had been the sprout of the people later known as Persians. On the other hand, Hercules' descendants ruled Sparta for several centuries already, and so Leonidas realized that his fate was to march against Xerxes. Unable to take his whole army with him, Leonidas handpicked 300 elite soldiers as his personal guard. On his way, he kept adding soldiers from other Greek cities. It is estimated that Leonidas managed to assemble an army of 7,000 soldiers from different backgrounds and led it toward the cliff of Thermopylae. The Spartans positioned themselves near the gates of fire, a strip of the cliff that was so narrow that the numerical superiority of the Persian army would be curbed. The gigantic Persian army was getting near, with more than 300,000 soldiers. Xerxes sent an emissary to meet the Spartan king. Xerxes proposed to Leonidas a unification between the Spartans and the Persians so that they could rule the whole of Greece under the flagship of the Persian Empire. The Spartan king rejected Xerxes' proposal, and his emissary threatened him. "Our arrows are so numerous that they will cover the whole sky." "Even better, we will fight in the shadows." The battle began, and the mighty Persian cavalry was borderline useless due to the wall of spears of the Greek phalanxes and the narrow room they had to move their units. The pouring of arrows was intense, but the Greek shields made the attack ineffective. The Persians had no alternative but to send their infantry for one-on-one combat. The outstanding phalanx formed by the Spartans repelled the waves of Persians' attacks, even defeating the division of Persian elite soldiers known as the Immortals. Xerxes was being humiliated by a couple of Greeks. The Greek strategy was working amazingly, but the Spartans were betrayed by a Greek called Ephialtes, who told the Persians about the routes used by shepherds, which would give them the chance to bypass the Greek defense. Realizing that they would end up surrounded, Leonidas freed the remaining Greek soldiers to retreat in order to prevent a massacre. Leonidas, his loyal Spartan soldiers, and about 1,000 Greeks readied themselves for the final battle. The Greeks fought bravely, but could not prevent the massacre that followed. After the end of the battle, Xerxes impaled Leonidas' head in a stake and marched victoriously towards Athens. The Persian victory represented a high cost in terms of lives and resources, allowing the Athenians to have 7 days to prepare themselves for the upcoming battle. Leonidas and his 300 Spartans became martyrs. Their heroic feats are still studied and celebrated.